There is a war happening inside you, not the kind fought with weapons or words, but with silence. Every insult that passes without retaliation, every provocation met with stillness, every attempt to disturb your peace, and you refuse to move. This is not weakness. This is the most terrifying form of power. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something most people never learn. The one who reacts is controlled. The one who waits, who watches, who refuses to dance to another's rhythm, that person holds the knife. But here's the paradox. You think restraint makes you vulnerable. You believe that if you don't defend yourself immediately, you lose. That if you don't strike back, you'll be seen as soft. So you react, you explode, you justify, you engage. And in that moment, you surrender your throne because the person who can make you react owns you. The question is not whether you have power. The question is who controls when you use it. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince not as a guide to cruelty, but as a manual for survival in a world that preys on emotion." He saw courts filled with men who bled their energy into pointless battles. Leaders who fell because they could not master the only enemy that mattered, themselves. Today, the battlefield has changed, but the war remains the same. Your boss baits you. Your rival provokes you. Social media pulls at your attention like 1,000 invisible strings. And every time you react without intention, you lose. This is the law Machiavelli never named, but always implied. He who controls his reaction controls the game. When you stop reacting, something shifts. The chaos around you continues, but you are no longer in it. You become the center, the axis, the unmoved stone in a river of noise. You become unstoppable, not because you are stronger, not because you are smarter, but because you are no longer playing their game. Chapter 1. The Origins of Strategic Stillness. Machiavelli was born into Florence in 1469, a city of silk and blood, where power changed hands like coins in a market. He was not a prince, not a warrior, not born into wealth or protection. He was a witness, and what he witnessed shaped one of history's most misunderstood philosophies, that the world does not reward the good or the loud, it rewards the deliberate. In The Prince, Machiavelli writes, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." Most people read this and think, be ruthless. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying, know when to act and when to wait. The fox does not attack the wolf. The fox outthinks it. And the lion does not chase every threat. It roars once, and the forest remembers. Machiavelli saw princes fall not because they lacked strength, but because they spent it recklessly. They reacted to every slight, every rumor, every challenge, and in doing so, they became predictable. Predictability is the death of power. When your enemy knows how you will respond, they don't need to defeat you. They just need to trigger you over and over until you exhaust yourself. This is the trap most people live in. Someone insults you. You defend. Someone questions you. You justify. Someone ignores you. You chase. You are not living your life. You are responding to theirs. Machiavelli observed that the greatest rulers were not those who reacted fastest, but those who refused to react at all, until the moment mattered. Cesare Borgia, one of Machiavelli's most studied figures, was known for his patience. He would let enemies plot, let rumors spread, let tension build, and then, when they least expected it, he would move, not in anger, not in haste, in precision, because he understood reaction is weakness, response is power. The difference? Reaction is unconscious, response is chosen. Reaction is the body's survival instinct. fight or flight, triggered by fear, ego, or pride. Response is the soul's intelligence, calm, calculated, and devastating when it finally arrives. In the 16th century, this was the difference between ruling and being overthrown. Today, it's the difference between mastery and mediocrity. Because the world has not changed. Only the masks have. Your coworker who undermines you in meetings? Cesare Borgia in a suit. Your ex who texts you at midnight? A psychological siege. The algorithm that feeds you outrage? A digital prince testing how easily you give away your attention, and every time you react, you confirm their control. Machiavelli's Florence was a city of constant warfare, betrayal, and shifting alliances. Survival required not just intelligence, but emotional fortification. The rulers who lasted were not the most aggressive. They were the most unshakable. They did not let insult dictate action. They did not let flattery cloud judgment. They did not let temporary emotion destroy long-term strategy. They had something most people today lack: inner sovereignty. The ability to say, "I hear you, I see you, but you do not move me." This is not coldness, it is clarity. It is the refusal to be a puppet in someone else's play. And it begins the moment you realize the person who can make you react is the person who controls you. So the question becomes, who holds your strings? Chapter 2, The Illusion of Immediate Justice. There is a voice inside you. It speaks the moment you are wronged. It says, defend yourself, now, or they will think you are weak. This voice is not wisdom. It is the ego's panic, and it has destroyed more lives than any enemy ever could. We are taught from childhood that silence equals submission, that if you don't fight back, you lose, that justice delayed is justice denied. But Machiavelli understood something deeper. Immediate justice is almost always stupid justice. Because when you react in the heat of the moment, you are not acting from strength, you are acting from wound. And a wound does not strategize, it bleeds. Consider this: someone insults you in public, your face flushes, your heart pounds, every fiber in your body screams, say something, destroy them, and so you do. You deliver the perfect comeback. You humiliate them in return. You win the moment. But what have you actually won? You've revealed that they can control you. You've shown them exactly where your buttons are. You've handed them a map to your weakness. And worse, you've made an enemy. Not because of what they did, but because of how you reacted. Machiavelli observed that most conflicts are not won in the first exchange. They are won in the waiting. The prince who responds to every insult spends his energy on noise. The prince who waits chooses when and how the real blow is delivered. This is not about revenge, it's about efficiency. Friedrich Nietzsche, centuries later, echoed this in Beyond Good and Evil. He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster. When you react emotionally, you become what you are fighting. You mirror their chaos. You descend into the same pit. But when you pause, when you refuse to engage, you remain above it. You become unreachable. Think about the people in your life who command the most respect. Are they the loudest, the quickest to argue, the most defensive? Number. They are the ones who don't need to prove anything. They listen, they observe, and when they speak, it matters because it's rare. This is the power of non-reaction. It is not passivity. It is not fear. It is strategic silence. The silence that says, I don't need to respond to this because it is beneath me. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop reacting, people stop provoking you because there's no payoff. A bully needs a reaction. A manipulator needs your emotion. A narcissist needs your attention. Take that away, and they have nothing. You become a mirror that reflects nothing back. And in that emptiness, they lose their power. But this requires something most people are not willing to develop: a delay between stimulus and response. The psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz, wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Most people have no space. The world presses a button and they react instantly, predictably. But the person who has cultivated that space, who can feel the anger rise, the insult land, the provocation sting, and still choose not to move, that person is free. Because they are no longer controlled by external events. They are controlled by internal law. And that is Machiavelli's true teaching. Power is not in the reaction, it is in the refusal to react. Until you decide, until the moment is right, until your response is not emotional noise, but calculated thunder. Chapter 3. The Psychology of the Unmoved. Carl Jung spent his life studying the human psyche, and one of his most profound discoveries was this: we are not one self, we are many. There is the self that wants peace, and the self that wants war, the self that seeks wisdom, and the self that craves vengeance, the self that aspires to greatness, and the self that would burn everything down just to feel alive. Jung called this the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny, repress, or project onto others. And here's the truth most people never face. The more you deny your shadow, the more it controls you. When you explode in anger, it's not because someone made you angry. It's because you've been suppressing anger for so long that it erupts without permission. When you react defensively to criticism, it's not because the criticism is unfair. It's because somewhere inside you believe it. The people who react the most are the people who know themselves the least. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. He observed that the rulers who fell to their emotions were the ones who had never integrated their darkness. They saw themselves as noble, just, and good. And so, when cruelty was required, when deception was necessary, when ruthlessness was the only path forward, they hesitated. Or worse, they acted impulsively, without mastery, because they had never owned their capacity for darkness. Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is the paradox of non-reaction. It requires you to face everything you are, because if you do not know your anger, it will use you. If you do not know your pride, it will sabotage you. If you do not know your fear, it will paralyze you. But if you integrate these forces, if you acknowledge them, understand them, and decide when and how they serve you, then you become something rare. A conscious weapon, not a loose cannon, not a repressed saint, but a human being who can access the full spectrum of their power without being possessed by it. This is what Machiavelli meant when he spoke of the fox and the lion. You must be capable of cunning and force, but you must also know which to use and when. The person who reacts is operating from their shadow, unconscious, automatic, controlled by impulse. The person who chooses their response is operating from the self, integrated, aware, and sovereign. And here's what most people miss. Stillness is not the absence of power. It is the presence of all power, held in reserve. Imagine a dam holding back an ocean. The water is there, the force is real, but it does not flood the valley, not until the moment it is released. That is you when you stop reacting. You are not weak. You are contained. And containment is the most dangerous form of strength, because no one knows when you will finally move. No one knows what you are capable of. No one can predict you. And unpredictability in a world that thrives on control is freedom. But this requires brutal self-honesty. You must ask yourself, Why do I react the way I do? Is it pride? Is it fear of being unseen? Is it a childhood wound that screams, prove yourself or you are nothing? Most people never ask. They just react over and over in the same patterns, with the same people, in the same traps. But you are choosing differently. You are learning to pause, to breathe, to ask, does this deserve my energy? And most of the time, the answer is no, because most provocations are not attacks. They are tests. Tests of your composure, your boundaries, your self-possession, and every time you refuse to engage, you pass. You prove to yourself and to the world that you are not easily moved, that you are not controlled by external chaos, that you are the master of your own kingdom. And in a world where everyone is reacting, the person who does not react becomes a center of gravity. People are drawn to you. They don't know why, but they feel it. This person is different. This person cannot be shaken. And that, more than any loud display of power, is what makes you unstoppable. Chapter 4. The Modern Battlefield. The court of the Medici is gone. The princes and poisoners have faded into history. But the battlefield remains. It has simply changed costumes. Today, the throne is not made of gold and marble. It is made of attention, influence, and internal peace. And the war for that throne is fought every single day, in your inbox, your relationships, your career, your mind. Machiavelli's Florence was a place where a single reaction could mean exile or death. Today, a single emotional response can mean a destroyed reputation, a lost opportunity, or a decade of regret. The stakes are the same. Only the weapons have evolved. Consider the workplace. You are in a meeting. A colleague undermines your idea in front of your boss. Subtle, calculated, designed to make you look unprepared. Your instinct? React, defend, counterattack. But the moment you do, you lose. Because now the meeting is no longer about your idea. It's about your emotional control, or lack of it. The person who provoked you is sitting back, calm and composed, while you scramble to regain credibility. They didn't win because they had a better argument. They won because they controlled your reaction. This is the modern application of Machiavelli's law. He who loses composure loses the room. Or take social media, the greatest psychological battlefield ever invented. Every post is a test. Every comment is bait. The algorithm rewards reaction, not reflection. It knows that outrage drives engagement, that offense drives clicks, that the fastest way to make you give away your time, your energy, your peace is to trigger you. And so it does, every single day. A stranger insults your beliefs. A provocateur twists your words. A mob forms in the replies, demanding you defend yourself. And if you do, you've already lost. Because you are now playing a game designed to exhaust you, to make you react instead of create, to turn you into content for someone else's empire. But the person who does not engage, who sees the trap and walks past it, that person keeps their power. They do not waste their day arguing with strangers. They do not hemorrhage mental energy on battles that don't matter. They remain focused on what actually moves their life forward. This is not avoidance, it is discernment. Machiavelli would recognize this battlefield instantly. The tools have changed, but the dynamic is ancient. Most battles are distractions. They are designed to keep you busy, to keep you reacting, to keep you from realizing that your attention is the prize. Because whoever controls your attention controls your life. Think about the last time you were truly productive, truly at peace, truly in flow. Were you reacting to notifications? Were you defending yourself online? Were you replaying arguments in your mind? Number. You were present, focused, unshaken. And that is the state Machiavelli's prince lived in. Not because nothing threatened him, but because he chose which threats were real. The same applies to relationships. Someone you love says something hurtful. Your instinct is to retaliate, to hurt them back, to make sure they feel what they made you feel. But pause for one moment. Ask yourself, is this reaction about them or about my own wound? Most of the time, it's the wound. And when you react from that place, you escalate, you create distance, you turn a moment of pain into a war. But if you pause, if you feel the hurt, acknowledge it, and then choose how to respond, everything changes. You might say, "That hurt me, and I need you to understand why." Or you might say nothing at all and give the other person space to realize their mistake. Either way, you have not reacted. You have responded. And in doing so, you've kept the relationship intact. You've kept your dignity. You've kept your power. This is Machiavelli's law in love. The one who escalates loses. The one who stays calm wins. Not because they dominate, but because they preserve what matters. Now, let's talk about the subtlest battlefield of all, your own mind. Every day, you are at war with yourself. Doubts whisper, fears shout, regrets replay on an endless loop. And most people react to their own thoughts the same way they react to external provocations, immediately and emotionally. A negative thought arises. You're not good enough. And instead of observing it, you believe it. You spiral. You react. But what if you didn't? What if you could see that thought for what it is, just a thought, and let it pass? This is the internal application of Machiavelli's law. The prince who is ruled by his own fears is no prince at all. To stop reacting externally, you must first stop reacting internally. You must learn to witness your mind without being consumed by it. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. The noise quiets. You are no longer at the mercy of every mood, every impulse, every fleeting emotion. You become steady. And steadiness, in a world designed to destabilize you, is the ultimate competitive advantage. Because while everyone else is reacting to the news, to their peers, to their own chaos, you are building, creating, growing, moving with intention. You have stepped off the battlefield of distraction and onto the path of mastery. And that is when you become unstoppable. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can divert you. Chapter 5. The Discipline of the Pause. There is a moment. It happens faster than thought, faster than breath. Something is said, something is done, and before you even realize it, your body has already moved. Your face tightens, your voice sharpens, your hands clench. You are no longer in control. The reaction is, this is the moment Machiavelli's princes feared most, not external attack, but internal hijacking. The moment when emotion overrides strategy, when impulse overrides wisdom, when the self splits and the shadow takes the throne. To stop reacting is not a single decision. It is a discipline, a practice, a rewiring of the nervous system itself. Because reaction is not a choice, it is a circuit, a neural pathway carved deep by years of conditioning, by childhood wounds, by survival instincts, by cultural programming that says, if you don't defend yourself, you are weak. If you don't retaliate, you are a victim. If you don't engage, you don't matter. But all of these are lies, and the first step in mastering non-reaction is recognizing the lie as it happens. This is what Jung called consciousness, the ability to witness yourself in real time. Not after the fact when you've already exploded and are now drowning in regret, but in the moment, when the impulse arises and you see it before it possesses you. This is the pause, the space between trigger and response. And it is the most important skill you will ever develop, because in that space, you have a choice. Outside of it, you are a puppet. So how do you create this space? First, you must slow down. Most people live in a state of chronic urgency. They move fast, think fast, react fast. They are always responding to something, a notification, a deadline, a demand, and in that speed, there is no room for awareness. You must intentionally cultivate slowness. This does not mean laziness. It means deliberateness. It means refusing to be rushed by the world's pace, refusing to let urgency dictate your decisions. Machiavelli's most successful princes were not the fastest. They were the most patient. They let situations develop. They watched, they waited, and when they finally acted, their action was decisive. Because they had not wasted their energy on false starts. You must do the same. When someone provokes you, do not speak immediately. Wait. Count to 3. Breathe. Feel the impulse in your body, the heat in your chest, the tightness in your throat, and let it pass through you without acting on it. This is not suppression. Suppression is pushing the emotion down. This is observation. You are saying to yourself, I feel this, I see this, but I am not this. And in that separation, you reclaim your power. Second, you must know your triggers. Everyone has them. The words that make your blood boil, the behaviors that send you into defense mode, the situations that pull you back into old patterns. Most people are unconscious of their triggers, and so they are constantly surprised when they explode. But you are choosing to be different. You are mapping your inner landscape. You are identifying the wounds, the fears, the insecurities that make you reactive. And once you see them, they lose their power. Because a trigger you are aware of is no longer a trap. It is a warning sign. When you feel it activate, you know, this is the old pattern trying to run again. And instead of following it, you choose differently. Third, you must reframe what strength means. Our culture worships the fast response, the clever comeback, the person who doesn't take any shit. But that is not strength. That is reactivity dressed as power. True strength is the ability to be insulted and remain calm, to be attacked and choose silence, to be disrespected and still hold your center. Nietzsche called this the will to power, not the power to dominate others, but the power to dominate yourself. The person who can withstand provocation without flinching is more powerful than the person who lashes out. Because they are not controlled, they are sovereign. And finally, you must practice. This is not a revelation you have once and then master forever. This is a daily practice. Every single day, life will test you. Someone will cut you off in traffic. A loved one will misunderstand you. A stranger will be rude. And every single time you have a choice, react or respond. The more you choose to respond, consciously, deliberately, the stronger that neural pathway becomes. Until one day you realize the impulse is still there, but it no longer owns me. You can feel the anger without becoming it. You can notice the ego scream without obeying it. You have become the ruler of your own kingdom. And that is when everything changes, because the person who does not react is not just calm. They are dangerous. Not in the sense of violence, but in the sense of untouchability. You cannot manipulate someone who does not react. You cannot destabilize someone who has mastered the pause. You cannot control someone who has integrated their shadow. And so the world begins to move around you instead of through you. Opportunities appear. Relationships deepen. Clarity emerges. Not because you became someone new, but because you stopped being everyone else's pawn. Machiavelli's law is not about cruelty. It is not about coldness. It is about self-mastery. The prince who rules himself can rule a kingdom. The prince who cannot rule himself will be ruled. And in a world that profits from your reaction, the greatest rebellion is stillness. Chapter 6. The Throne Within. There is a throne inside you. Most people never sit on it. They spend their entire lives circling it, justifying why they're not ready. why they're not worthy, why someone else should decide for them. But the throne is not given. It is claimed. And the moment you stop reacting to the world, you take your seat. Not because you are perfect, not because you have arrived, but because you have finally realized no one is coming to give you permission. Machiavelli wrote The Prince for Rulers, but the deepest reading is this: you are the prince. Your life is the kingdom. Your mind is the court. Your attention, your energy, your will. These are the resources you must defend. And every time you react without intention, you give them away. To the person who insulted you, to the platform that baited you, to the fear that whispered you weren't enough. You become a kingdom ruled by invaders. But when you stop reacting, when you pause, breathe, and choose, you become something else, the sovereign of your own existence. This is not arrogance. It is responsibility. Because if you are not in control of your reactions, someone else is. If you are not directing your energy, it is being stolen, and the world will take everything you give it. Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, beneath the masks, the conditioning, the expectations. But individuation is not passive. It is an act of will. It is the decision to stop living reactively and start living deliberately. To stop being shaped by circumstance and start shaping your reality. And this begins with the smallest, most radical act, the pause. Because in the pause, you are no longer a victim of the moment. You are the author of it. You are not controlled by the provocation. You are deciding whether it deserves a response. You are not at the mercy of your emotions. You are witnessing them, integrating them, directing them. You are no longer a passenger in your life. You are the driver. And here is the paradox Machiavelli understood, but never fully explained. The more you control yourself, the less you need to control others. Because people are drawn to those who are unshakable. They respect those who do not need to prove anything. They trust those who are not easily swayed. When you stop reacting, you stop repelling. You become a point of calm in a chaotic world, a mirror that reflects truth instead of emotion, a presence that others want to be near, because in your stillness, they find permission to be still too. This is leadership, not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet, magnetic kind, the kind that says, I do not need to dominate you. I have already mastered myself. And that is the ultimate power. But let's be clear, this is not a destination. This is a practice. There will be days when you fail, when you react before you think, when you explode, justify, defend, and that is okay, because the goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. The goal is to catch yourself 1 second sooner, 1 breath deeper, 1 choice clearer. Over time, those seconds add up. The space widens. The grip loosens. And one day you realize, I am not who I was, not because you changed everything, but because you changed one thing. You stopped letting the world decide when and how you move. You stopped reacting, and in that stopping, you found something you had been searching for your entire life. Freedom. Not freedom from responsibility, not freedom from challenge, but freedom from being controlled by forces outside yourself. You are no longer a leaf in the wind. You are the tree, rooted, unshaken, alive, and the storms can come, the provocations can arrive, the world can pull and push and demand and scream, but you remain. Because you have learned Machiavelli's law, the one who controls his reaction, controls his fate, and you have chosen to be ungovernable, not through rebellion, not through force, but through the quiet, devastating power of self-possession. This is the throne within, and it has always been yours. You just had to stop reacting long enough to see it. Before we finish, write a comment, leave a like, and share with your friends. And remember that there is a moment before every war, every fall, every surrender, when you still have a choice. You can react and lose yourself, or you can pause and reclaim everything. The world will test you every single day. And every time you refuse to be moved, you prove something that cannot be taught, only lived. Power is not in the noise, it is in the silence that follows.